This is a really new sound for Deftones. This song is so interesting. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Private Music by Deftones. Now, as some of you may know, Deftones is the band that kind of started this whole metal reaction channel here on YouTube for me. My first ever album reaction was for their third studio album, White Pony, and that basically made me fall in love with Deftones. And this is the first album that they've released in 5 years since their 2020 release, Ohms. And this one they just put out too. Today is August 22nd. This album just came out and I am extremely excited to give this one a listen. Alright, so starting off this album is track 1, which is called My Mind is a Mountain. Right off the bat, this song is just drenched in atmosphere. Alright, yeah, I'm really enjoying this song so far. Reminds me a lot of Koi no Yokon. Yeah, that vocal delivery is just so good. So much power, and yet they're still kind of keeping the vocals really blended beautifully with all the instrumentals and the other sounds going on. It's kind of creating this enveloping, kind of cocoon-like sound, if that makes sense. Well, that was track 1, My Mind is a Mountain. That's really everything I wanted from a new Deftones album. The sound of that track was so good. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous for this album just because I love Deftones so much. I didn't want it to disappoint, and if that first track is any indication of the sound of this whole thing, I think it's gonna be a really good record. Like I mentioned, it reminded me a lot of Koi no Yokon sonically, just with all of that atmosphere. It almost felt like you were flying through outer space or something. It just had this really streamlined quality to its tone. But I'm going to move on to track 2 called Locked Club. Interesting vocal delivery at the start, kind of leaning more into that nu metal aspect that they sometimes incorporate in their sound. That guitar, man, the tone of that is just so dense and thick. It's got such a rich tone to it. Closer to God, closer to space. Again, there's that sort of spacey, floaty element to the sound on this track. It kind of fits with the lyrics. Full-on goosebumps right now. There's so many layers going on here. That was track 2, Locked Club. That guitar to me was the standout on that track. The tone of that was just so good. It was bringing this intense heaviness, and yet there was something so floaty and dreamlike about that song as well. Deftones never fails to impress me at how they blend those two styles seamlessly with their music. They're so intense at times, and yet there's something oddly relaxing and sort of soothing about their music too. Alright, continuing on with track 3 is Ecdysis, if I'm saying that right. Oh, hell yeah. I love that bass. Such a sharp contrast there between that punchy chorus and then they just kind of stopped it and took you right back to this verse. And then we got a little tone change. It's like all of a sudden this track kind of lifted up out of that sludgy bass. What is that background noise? Yeah, I could tell the way that song was ending, we were going to get a transition into the next track. That was beautifully done. But that was track 3, Ecdysis. You all will have to let me know in the comments what the meaning of that track name is. I'm not sure if it's referring to something in particular. But that song was so incredibly groovy. Man, I was just kind of sitting back, jamming along with it. Right at the beginning, how it started, I was a little bit unsure of it because you had that electronic tone. There was something almost 9 Inch Nails-esque about it a little bit. And then as soon as that bass kicked in, I was right on board with the sound of that one. It just brought such an incredible denseness to that track. But I'm going to continue on with track 4 called Infinite Source. His vocal delivery is a little bit more melodic on this one. There's something so soothing about it. I just got goosebumps there for a second when that guitar tone came in. Man, there was something so beautiful about that. This is a really new sound for Deftones. This song is so interesting. Like, it still has these qualities that are very much Deftones-esque, but they're doing some different stuff on this song. I'm enjoying it. I love the layering. It's like they've got all of these different vocals going on. It's kind of creating this blend of sounds all mixing together in my headphones. Well, that was track 4, Infinite Source. That one was a little bit different. I really enjoyed it. The first 3 tracks on this album kind of brought that punchiness that Deftones does so well mixed with the atmosphere. And then Infinite Source was just a little bit more slowed down. It had a more melodic aspect to it, especially with his vocal delivery. I was noticing that. But it still had this sort of jarring quality at times too. The way it would stop and start, and there was sort of this very, very slight fuzziness to the tone of that guitar as well. All right, moving on to track 5 is Souvenir. Translucent walls you've made. And then this is like the walls crumbling down now, how they're bringing in all of this energy. There's a background tone I'm hearing all of a sudden. It kind of has this fuzzy quality to it. It's a Deftones album. We gotta have that muffled, kind of talking, whispered vocal delivery. Great delivery on the drums just there from Abe. Man, there's something so calming about this outro. It's like you found the peace after the storm has ended. All right, another really smooth transition into the next track, but that was track 5, Souvenir. A beautiful song. That outro almost put me in a trance, just something very relaxing and dreamlike about it. That song really reminded me of Rosemary off of Koi no Yokon. Kind of similar lyrics too, thematically about flying in space. And there was this great dynamic of these intense moments that kind of pulled you down and brought a lot of weightiness to that track, and then you'd get flung back out into this really floaty, relaxed atmosphere. But I'm just going to continue on with track 6, which is called CXZ. Yeah, the mix on this album is so interesting. I really am loving how the vocals are so incorporated with the instrumentals. It's almost creating this shoegazy wall of sound. I'm really loving the drums on this one. They're bringing such a surge of energy to them. Now it sounds like people clapping. Well, that was track 6, CXZ. That one definitely brought a surge of energy following Souvenir, which was a little bit more melodic and drawn out with its delivery. CXZ kind of brought back that pop of energy. I loved the drums throughout that whole song, and just lots of little interesting sounds I kept picking up on. They're certainly throwing a lot of variety sonically on this album. I feel like I'm always honing in on something new with each track. All right, I'm going to move on to track 7 called I Think About You All the Time. Sort of this electronic tone coming in now, faintly in the background. And I love his vocal delivery on that line. Something so clear and piercing about it. It just really cuts through. And then I love how it just dissipates like that. His voice sort of echoes out. That was track 7, I Think About You All the Time. I'd say that's probably the most calm, melodic song on this album so far. Just something so incredibly tender and beautiful about the delivery of that one. How that song started and ended was really reminiscent to me of Sex Tape off of Diamond Eyes. A very similar tone, sort of that really warm, more stripped back sound from Deftones. And I loved how they were utilizing the echoey vocals. Again, just a lot of layering to kind of create this cushiony sound almost to that track. Just something very comforting and enveloping about it. But moving on to track 8 is Milk of the Madonna. I love this one. It's almost like I'm in a Blade Runner movie or something. It just has that quality to its sound. Yeah, how those vocals are so almost compressed sounding and then pushed in the background to kind of echo the main vocals. It's just creating this really strong, almost cinematic sound. The drums right there, man, I love them. I love all of this distortion. It's just so almost watery and ripply with its tone. Alright, I'm going to pause it really quick, although I'm very intrigued to continue on with this next song. But that was track 8, Milk of the Madonna. Now, I'm listening on Spotify and it shows the amount of plays, and this track has significantly more than a lot of the other songs on this album, so I'm assuming that it was one of the singles that they released. And I see why. That song was so good, so catchy, and every now and again when those drums would really shine through, man, I absolutely love Abe Cunningham's playing style. He is one of the many qualities that makes Deftones Deftones, in my opinion. He really helps add to their signature sound, and that was really coming through on that track. I absolutely loved the drums. All right, continuing on with track 9 is Cut Hands. I love his vocal delivery. It's almost like he's spitting at you. Like there's such a conviction to it and just so much aggressiveness. This almost reminds me of something off of Adrenaline. It's got a really strong nu metal kind of like hip hop style to the vocal delivery on these verses. All of these sounds going on. It's such a whirlwind going on. I love it. All right, again, another really interesting transition into the next song, but that was track 9, Cut Hands. That one was just a barrel full of energy, that's for sure. So much punchiness, sort of a jaggedness to the delivery of that one. I really loved his vocal style too on those verses, bringing more of that nu metal aspect into their sound. It just took me on a wild ride. It's like it started and then I just kept hearing something new around each turn. They threw so much on that track. But I'm going to continue on with track 10 called Metal Dream. I loved that little breathing sound from Chino. So quintessentially Deftones. These drums, they fill the song perfectly. Just everything is balanced so well on this album. It's so impressive to me. Yeah, I'm loving the transitions on this album, but that was track 10, Metal Dream. The very end of that one, there was something almost a little bit eerie about it. It kind of had this chilling quality. And then on the verses toward the start of that track, again, they kind of brought in more of a nu metal style with his vocal delivery. And I just love how almost hollow that track sounded on those verses. It had this really empty, kind of echoey, reverberating sound to it. Just a fantastic atmosphere yet again. But moving on to the final song on Private Music is track 11 called Departing the Body.
There's a room.
Ooh, I just got major goosebumps on that vocal delivery. Those electronic tones, it's like stars twinkling in the sky. That was cool. I love that sound. It's just such a contrast to these instrumentals. There's such a dense sort of weightiness, like this cloud of sound, and then when that electronic tone comes in, it's like these twinkling lights kind of cutting through all of that.
It's clean.
The drums, yet again, they're just creating this perfect fill for the sound. In these little pockets, the drum will kind of just interject, and it brings so much added energy. Well, that was track 11, Departing the Body. That was such a fascinating song to listen to. At the very beginning, for a brief second, I thought they had a different vocalist for this last track because Chino's voice, I've never heard him sound that way before, especially on a Deftones song. Just really deep, really clear, and then later on throughout that track, he kind of brought more of that vocal style that Deftones usually leans into. I loved the variety of that track, and everything just blended together seamlessly well. Well, that is going to conclude my reaction to Private Music, the 10th studio album from the band Deftones. I feel like my channel here on YouTube has really come full circle listening to this album because my first album reaction I ever did was for White Pony, and now here we are, I think like almost 5 years or something like that later, and we've got a new Deftones album that just released. I thought they did such a fantastic job fusing a sort of experimental element to their music. They tried out some new sounds for sure, while still keeping really true to the Deftones style that we all know and love. The first song, My Mind is a Mountain, was a great opener for the album. It brought a lot of punchiness and really set a fantastic tone for the record. And then track 9, Cut Hands, brought so much aggression. I loved his vocal delivery on that one. It kind of was a little bit reminiscent of Deftones' earlier music. Track 10, Metal Dream, was so cinematic, and they did a lot of experimental things on that one. And then possibly my favorite song, if I had to pick a favorite with one listen to this album, is track 8, Milk of the Madonna. That one was thoroughly entertaining from beginning to end. Everything I love blended together in one track. Just an absolutely fantastic addition to Deftones' discography, in my opinion, and be sure to let me know in the comments what you think of Private Music. I would love to read your opinions. But yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.